Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Global Impact. Tonight, I'm David McQuell with a show tonight. Giving it a great time as we have always been, been there and bringing forth great stuff. So tonight, I tell you, it's going to be great, and I'm glad that you are tuning in and ready to go with us. So don't go anywhere, just hang in there, and we will really, really have a great time together tonight. I'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Global Impact with David McQuell, your host. Isaiah chapter 2, verses 1 to 5 says that a time is coming when the church will rise in authority and influence and dominate the earth. And many nations will come and say, "Teach us the ways of the Lord." Global Impact is a show that inspires you as a Christian to rise up through the values of the kingdom of God and shine as light wherever you may be. We believe that missions is no longer limited to some isolated, unreached community in some dark continent. The church should reach out to all aspects of life, including politics, business, science and research, the media and diplomacy, and every aspect of human life. Join us on Global Impact, Monday through Friday. Global Impact is broadcast on TECNTV.com. Join us.
Okay, so welcome back to the show tonight. Again, I'm David McQuell. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I hope that your day is going well. I hope that also life is getting better. I know that there are lots of challenges out there, and people are struggling through a lot of things. All we can do is encourage you and pray along with you. We trust God that He will do something great in your life. He will fight along with you. He once told Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, and he said to him, "You are not alone." In fact, he said to him, "The battle is not yours, the battle is the Lord's." Which means that God will take your place and fight on your behalf. So we hope and we trust God that if you are holding to God, that He will fight for you. And you may go through a lot of difficulties, but at the end of the day, God will be glorified and you will be victorious. Thank you so very much for even taking time out and hanging out with us. Today we're going to have a great time. So we've been talking about educating thyself or self-education. In fact, there is no greater love, apart from loving God and than loving yourself. After you love God, you have to love yourselves, because the Bible says you have to love your neighbor as yourself, which means that first of all, love yourself before you love others. Yeah. So I'm not wearing a red shirt because it's Valentine. It's just one of my studio costumes. I just wore it, happened to wear it today. There's actually no religion about it. But well, throughout the world today, they're celebrating Valentine, which is supposed to be the day that love is celebrated. And all kinds of love and all kinds of lust and all kinds of misunderstanding of what love is. But actually, love is of God. That's what the Bible tells us. If any man does not know love, he doesn't know God, for God is love. Love is not feelings. Love is not some emotional, erotic thing. Although it may involve that if in a case of a relationship with an opposite sex, yes, so it involves that. But actually love in itself is a pure word, and it means, caring for your neighbor as yourself. And that is what this day calls for. It's not just about taking a lady out or going out with a guy, but it's also about caring for your neighbor, caring for the less privileged, being out there caring for people. Yesterday, we went out, we traveled down to a certain village, really a bit far from Abidjan. We went out there for some business, and we ended up looking at the people and really caring for the people. We didn't have much, but out of what we had to share with those who were in need. And we had to talk to the people, encourage them. God opened the door for us to talk to the village chief, who is like the ruler of the community. And we were well received, in fact, well and above received. and they are waiting for us to come back with the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. They even want us to plant a mission station in the village. That would be awesome. Now that's love, loving people, sharing with people your compassion, your affection, your needs, and whatever it is. Today, that is Valentine, you really need to take time out and care for somebody. Not just caring for yourself, but care for somebody. But however, today, in our show, we'll be talking about caring for yourself. And before we do that also, I think that it's appropriate to recognize what's going on down there in Canada, as people fight for their freedom, as people fight to be free through these difficult times that we have been on. And so we have, a video here that's kind of a tribute to them as they fight for the independence. And we want to share with you also in the spirit of what's going on, so that you can also enjoy this care with them, care for them, and love them, and also pray for them as people fight for that freedom. So I will be right back after this video, but I want your hearts and your thoughts and your prayers to be with the people in Canada. Not only that, but it's not just Canadians that are out there. The Australians, the Finnish, the Swedish, the English, the New Zealanders, and many other countries, the French, actually, the French, the Italians, and other Europeans truck drivers are driving up to Brussels to protest for freedom. A crop of people, of tyrants, have decided to take the world hostage. But we need freedom. The reason why we need freedom is that so we can serve God, so we can live our life. There's no better way to serve God unless you have freedom. So in honor of all those who are fighting for freedom, let's just cheer them up and pray for them. God bless you, Canada. God bless all freedom fighters in the world who are seeking for freedom. It's not difficult, isn't it? It's just a simple thing. Freedom of choice. That's a God's given freedom. God has given us freedom to choose how we want to live our lives. In fact, in the last words of Joshua, the last farewell address of Joshua, as I just said that, I remember George Washington's farewell address to America. And then so, in Joshua's farewell address, he reminded Israel of all the great things that God has done for them from the time of Moses, from the time that he took over the country. But he also reminded of them of their disobedience, their rebellion, and their backsliding, how they turned away from God over and over and turned to worthless idols. And having indicted their conscience and called them to acknowledgement and to again realization of how they have failed God and how they have turned against God in their ways, Joshua now gave them the offer of free choice. And he said to them in verse 15, Joshua chapter 24, verse 15, he said, choose today which God you will serve, whether the gods of your fathers that they served across the river, or the living God. Isn't that a great thing? That's the choice. Joshua wasn't saying, I'm going to force you to serve God. He didn't even say God is going to force you to serve him. But he said, choose him and serve him. And if you serve him, you will be blessed by him. But if you choose not to serve him, he will abandon you. He will actually turn his back on you too. And you will be left on your own. So freedom of choice is, don't look down on the battle being fought on the front lines across the world for freedom, which actually was inspired by the Canadians. Freedom is very significant. If you don't have freedom, someone will tell you where to go, where to sit, what to eat, what to do. And in fact, they may tell you who to love and tell you which God to serve. And most of the time, it wouldn't be Lord God. It will be man. It will be their own God. Or they will be the God that they want you to serve. You know, you haven't seen people you've seen the tyrants asking people to choose between their passions, between their livelihoods, between their careers, and an untested vaccine. Really terrible. You know, hey, if there is a solution, you can just provide the solution and let people choose if they want to use it. You know, it is just a big lie that the government cares about your health more than you care about yourself. That's not true. And it's difficult. Even a doctor may not care for you as much as you care for yourself. Nobody actually really should love you like you love yourself. Nobody should want you to live long and in good health more than you do yourself. You know, so everybody cares about himself. Have you seen people fighting to stay alive? Have you seen people facing the threat of death, either pursued by a wild animal or by some danger? You see people putting every effort to escape, every single effort to escape, because everybody loves his life. It's a big lie to say that I love your life more than you do. You know, I can help you, I can do a lot, I can pray for you, I can encourage you, but at the end of the day, it is the love that you have for yourself that will drive you on. You know, so people need freedom of choice. We are not children. We all know from all generations and all kinds of government authority, we know that the best government authority is the one that secures our natural rights, our freedom of choice. You're free to choose where you want to live, free to choose which country you want to go to, free to choose what you want to eat and where you want to stay, free to choose what you put in your body. That is the fight. That's what these guys are fighting, you know. So God bless them. God bless the Canadian truckers. God bless all those who are fighting, and those who are fighting for our freedom, those who are working towards our freedom, and we really appreciate them. We really love them. We are glad and we are grateful that they are fighting for us. You know. So having said that, we're going to take a short break, and I will be back after this break, you know, and we'll go on with the show.
David McQuell on
Global
Impact at TC. Oh my word! On Global Impact at CEN with David McQuell on Global Impact TEC. ECNTV.com.
Yeah.
And with David McQuell on Global Impact at TECNTV.com.
TECNTV.com.
All right, so welcome back to the show tonight. We are talking about educate thyself. You know, in other words, take time and dig out information for yourself. And if you don't seek information for yourself, it will absolutely be impossible for anyone to give you the kind of information and education that you need. It is really important for you to take your time and search for knowledge that is going to help you, knowledge that is going to guide you, knowledge that's going to reward you in every other thing. And I'm going to give us, you know, my own experience when I began to learn French as an adult in 1995. I was graduate. I've been to to school. I'm sorry, I've been to been on the mission field, ministry on the mission field since 1989. So I have I've grown up, and then I was going to the Ivory Coast in 1995. I was 24 years old then, with absolutely very little idea about what French is, apart from my French, my little French in junior high, which I did quite well, but dropped it when I went to senior. I had no idea that I would ever need French in my life. Finished my high school, went to college, finished, and came out and began to work in the ministry, and served in the ministry for quite for nearly 5 years. Yeah, for 5 years, and had no idea. In fact, 6 years. Had no idea that I would be traveling outside of Nigeria. Had no idea that I will need French in my life. I was doing well. I was just enjoying ministry, serving God in different places, and I felt that, well, yeah, of course I'm seeking God, trying to understand God, and but I didn't know I didn't know more than that. So I was just hanging out there and waiting, and then the call came for me to go to the mission field. Of course, as God revealed to me that I needed to go out of the country to the mission field and serve in different communities to different people who didn't speak my tongue, who didn't understand my language. And I had no idea which people I was going to, So eventually after, that was 1992. That was 1992. And kept preparing for the next 3 years on going on missions. So then God clarified to me that I was going to a French country. So the ministry I was serving with then had a mission post in the Ivory Coast, which is a French country, and it was only appropriate for me to go and spend a year there learning French. I don't know why we said a year, but I don't know how long it was supposed. I have no idea how long it would take to learn French, So, but I came in 1995. It was interesting. It was really a completely different society. It's not as big as Nigeria, but they are better organized, So we came in and really loved the place. Everything was organized. The country was better organized than Nigeria. Nigeria is richer, bigger, and full of ambitious people. The Côte d'Ivoire is a semi-socialist society, of course, colonized by France, and they run the French socialist system here. But again, it is a mixture of socialism and capitalism, out there. So, came in, the people were very welcoming, and people really were excited. They are very excited to see English people around, English-speaking people around. Today we went out to a shopping center to try to get a few things with my daughter as we were there talking in English and going through the shelves. The owner of the store is Lebanese, I believe. He has an idea about English, probably has learned English in school or lived in some English country. Or he has, just a little English. And he kept watching us, really excited to hear us speak English, really excited. And then, so we forgot to get something. My daughter went up to get it and came back. And then the man began to try to reach out to her in English. Oh, that's why. So she said to me, that the man speaks English. I said, wow. And so he began to talk to me, and you could see the excitement. The lady who was serving us was also very excited. She's Ivorian. And she just loved, she wanted to hang around there and just be speaking English. And she was just staring at us, enjoying it and smiling, So, the people loved English-speaking people, and we were welcomed. But in those days, there were no money transfers. There were, very few telephone lines across Africa, and communication was really very hard. There was no way the ministry that has sent us to Ivory Coast could send us money down, transfer any fund or money. So we just went to the mission field and we were there like that. It's now we know better. Probably would have coordinated with the Nigerian embassy and find some way of transferring money, but we didn't have, just basically had no idea. We were young men working by faith, The most senior amongst me, we were 4 of us missionaries, so 2 of them were 2 years older than me. I was 2 years younger than 2 people, and then the last person was far younger than me. I think he was about 17 or 18 years old. So we were just having fun. We came to the Ivory Coast and couldn't speak no English, and we are, You know, that aftershock that you're in a foreign country where they are speaking a strange language, everybody. So the drive to understand French began to manifest. Personally, when I was coming to Ivory Coast, one of the things that I never like is when I speak and it's interpreted into another language. I didn't like it. Simply, my own point was I had two problems with that. Number one, the fact that your words are interpreted is evidence that there is a separation between you and your interlocutors. You know, so it means that you have to pass through a canal to reach to them. That canal is really some psychological barrier between us, which tells you that, oh, we are not the same people. You are different and we are different. And I just didn't like that. I didn't like that idea. I didn't like being caught having a barrier, a wall of separation between me and the people I'm trying to reach through an interpreter. And then the second thing also that I had problems with was that how do I know the interpreter is interpreting my words accurately? After all, he may not be a professional. And of course, none of them were professionals. You know, all of them were learning English as well, except one guy who was really originally a Nigerian, but I think he was raised in the Ivory Coast. So he went through school studying French, everything in French. So he understood English and French very, very well. You know, and he served us several times when we went to preach. Yes. And his older sister had worked with the U.S. Embassy. So I will come back to that a little bit, because later on that really played a role in our effort to understand French and speak it. Now, so I came to the mission field, and my goal, I had a goal. My colleagues didn't have a goal, but I did. My goal was that after I have lived in the country for 1 year, I didn't want an interpreter anymore. I wanted to speak directly to the people in their language. So I began to work right from the beginning. When I was coming, my uncle of blessed memory, my uncle, my mom's younger brother, who was killed by the Muslim terrorists in Nigeria, he was shot. He went out hunting, coming back at night, and they shot him and killed him. My uncle gave me a book that was part of the textbooks that were given to them in Nigeria then, government secondary school, Buhari Abuja. It's a Teach Yourself French. It's an English written by the English, you know, I think the Brits, somebody from Britain. And then, yes, of course, because Nigeria was colonized by Britain, those books were imported by the government of Nigeria and distributed to the secondary school students as an aid to learning French. So he kept his own intact, and when I was going to the mission field to a French country, he was very excited. He said, my son, take this book. It's going to be of benefit to you. When I began to look into the book, the only problem I had with the book was that they didn't write the phonetics, the pronunciation. How do you pronounce the French words? Otherwise, everything, a lot of things were translated, you know. I'm going out to the right. I'm going out in English, then the right. Je saw. And I didn't understand how do you pronounce it, because saw has an S at the end. So I said je sauce. But it wasn't sauce, it was saw. But I didn't know how to, you know. Eventually later on, I got to know this is how you pronounce it, you know. But that was really incredible. That book really helped me to get an idea of what was happening, especially when I was down here and I could meet people every day who spoke French. So I could ask them, how is this pronounced? How is this pronounced? That really, really helped me. It helped me a lot. And I was able to begin to learn French, and I worked hard tirelessly. Nights and day, I would stay up late night. My colleagues were asleep, and I would be studying and devouring. And then I had this small translation dictionary, English-French, you know. So that was even much better, you know. It had the phonetics, and then you could check a word. But the other problem with it was that it gives you different variations of a word. And if you don't understand it, you don't know which one to apply at which situation. But eventually, with time, after about 6 months, I caught it on, and I knew what was what. And I was beginning to get the interpretation. I remember the first time that I tried to share the word of God. I was in a garden somewhere in Makori opposite the commissariat, the police. That's the police station. There's a garden there. So we go there to relax. And I met this young lady, and I approached her, and I said, oh, we just went out often every day to evangelize. So I met this young lady, and I came there. I could, at that time, 6 months later, I could pick words, understand sentences when they are talking. You have a great idea about what they are talking about. But to construct sentences was really a challenge. So I sat with her as she explained, and I tried to talk to her, explain the gospel. She gave me room to explain the gospel. At that time, Ivorians were very impatient. If you call someone and you stop someone on the way, you want to talk to the person, and he sees you are struggling to speak the language, he will tell you, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry. So just like that, some people just brutally, and I really felt so sad, so terrible about ourselves when it came to that. But I tried that day to explain. I tried. I probably got 40% of what I was saying correctly, but the lady understood where I was driving at. And she began to share with me an experience that she had. She wasn't a believer, but she began to share with me an experience that she had with a vision that Jesus appeared to her in church. And she explained, and she had a little girl. She had just had a baby. I think some months ago she had a baby. So she was there, and then we would treat and talk. And it was really incredible. For the first time, I got to converse in French with someone. Didn't get everything right, and I didn't also get everything she said right, but I understood clearly what she was saying, and she understood what I was trying to communicate. That was really a great, amazing encouragement that day. I'll be right back.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.
David McQuell on
Global
Impact at TC. Oh my word! On Global Impact at TECN with David McQuell on Global Impact ECNTV.com.
Yeah.
And with David McQuell on Global Impact at TECNTV.com.
TECNTV.com.
What happened to the church? To the living, powerful, transformative, nation-shaking Christianity?
What they're trying to do is completely demolish Western civilization and then to rebuild it in a just society.
How do you break down American Christianity?
I think the problem today in our culture is many of our words have been co-opted and stolen and dumbed down and reversed.
Social justice is sold as something that it isn't. Critical race theory is sold as something that it isn't.
Whiteness has caused blindness of heart. Whiteness has caused blindness of heart.
When you preach victimization, it always leads to vengeance and vice. Us against them, me against you. I want my pound of flesh.
American churches today are where the universities were 10 years ago. Pretty heavily Marxist. They're not quite there yet, but they're well on the way. Many of the seminaries and Bible colleges are definitely already there.
That message that they're going out and taking the world is not, you need to repent of your sin, receive Christ. Instead, the message that you actually have is they are under the weight of racism or sexism or homophobia, and then we need to unify them together.
I'm gay, I'm 29, I'm a youth pastor in New Jersey.
I'm straight, and I'm also a youth pastor in New Jersey.
We're planning on sharing life together for the rest of our lives, which we're not totally sure what that looks like. Obviously, Nick is straight, and he does plan on getting married. When he has a wife one day, she'll make those decisions with us.
The future damage of what we're doing now is just going to be enormous.
The entire fabric of family, personal wealth, private property, all those things are out the door. And everything is the state. They believe the state is God.
They don't define justice the same way as the scripture.
Oh, no. It's going to be an equality, all right. And it's going to be a totalitarian Marxist justice.
Oh, welcome back to the show tonight. I'm David McQuell again. You are watching Global Impact, and we have a great subtopic today going on, which is educate thyself, self-education. The knowledge, the understanding that you acquire will work for you much more than what someone will try to put inside of you. There are two kinds of education, formal education and non-formal. Formal education is what we learned in school. Non-formal education is the one we learn outside of the system organized educational program or academic program. You know, of course, as children, you go to school because it's necessary. You start with primary education, then you go on to middle school or high school, and then to college, which is called tertiary institution. All these things are educations that are laid one upon the other. Primary school comes, and secondary school education is laid upon primary education. Tertiary, you know, everything keeps getting narrowed down to it. Tertiary means breaking it down into specialized portions. You know, you can't learn everything that you learned in primary school in tertiary institution. You have to take one field, one fraction of one field, and concentrate on. You know, so we are not talking about formal education. We are talking about informal education. And I said right at the beginning of this show a week ago that there was education before formal education came in. You know, we also saw, for example, in Genesis chapter 4, where the Bible says Cain built a city. So my mind was running around, build a city, right? You know how difficult it is to build a simple hut, a small hut, a small room. You know, it takes real education. The architect has to sit down, design plan, and you know, sometimes even a small office space to reorganize it, you need someone who is really specialized. You know, not even to talk about building a city. And Ken never went to school. There were no teachers then. There was no formal education. Well, how did he get to build a city? Absolutely, there was education before formal education came, and that's what we're talking about. So, teaching yourself is absolutely important. When I came to the Ivory Coast and missions, I realized that it was going to be difficult for me to ever be able to have a teacher who will teach me French, because I didn't have the funds as a missionary. I didn't even know where food will come from. I didn't know how we were going to feed. We were basically just running by faith. Everything was based on faith, trusting God to supply our needs. And it was hard, but it was rewarding at the end of the day when we succeeded. You know, I remember a particular time somewhere around May. I think it was May. Things really got tough. There was a time that we stayed for 7 days and we didn't have food to eat, 4 of us. We still continued to pray as we did, studied the Bible as we did, went out on evangelism as we did, even though we didn't have food to eat, you know. But at the end of the day, we succeeded, and we planted a great church. I mean, people were getting blessed. People were growing in their faith. People were so excited, you know, people from different nationalities. We had Tanzanians, we had Congolese, we had lots of Congolese, you know. In fact, more than half of our church were Congolese. We had Ivorians, we had Ghanaians, we had Sierra Leoneans, we had Guineans, we had Burkinabes, of course, people from Burkina Faso, and Cameroon, I think Cameroon, and we had Central African Republic, and from Gabon. So you could see, we really had a great, of course, Nigerians, and we had someone, I think, from Benin Republic or thereabout. So we had really great white coverage, you know, but we had to, grind our teeth in the days of little beginnings and difficulty. I say this to say that we didn't have money to hire a French teacher to teach us, so we had to learn on the job, you know. So as I was giving you the account in that journey, took time and to learn on my own, work hard day and night. And I will be praying and I will be confessing, and my colleagues will be laughing at me. I'll be saying, in Jesus' name, I can read French, I can understand French, I can interpret French, I can translate French, I can write French. I will say it and pray and go back to my books, begin to work and learn and learn and learn. Some things were harder than the other to retain, but I kept learning and I kept learning. You know what I found out in learning a language, as long as you keep pressing on, you know, what happens is that your mind, your brain has a memory system just like the hard drive of a computer. And as you learn words, they keep dropping in and it keeps storing in. You don't even have any idea that that word was inside. But you keep storing words inside and you think you've forgotten them. You keep storing words there and think you have forgotten them. And then you come to a place, by the time I was here for about 6 months, and one day we were going to one part of Abidjan. So we boarded the metro buses. As we entered the bus, it was like, boom, my ears were open. You know, the cashier in the bus who was taking the cash and was talking with somebody. You know, they were talking. And people were talking in the bus. And suddenly, it was, my ears were open. And I began to hear the conversations in a different way. I began to pick words. Oh, they are talking about this. And I turned around and smiled. I didn't say anything to anybody. I was surprised. And every time if they're talking, I had an idea about what subject they were talking about. I probably didn't know everything they said. But I knew when they were saying, for example, when someone was not happy with what somebody was doing, I knew exactly that was what it was. When somebody was angry, I knew. When somebody was trying to convince someone about something, apart from the gestures, I began to pick words, understand the subject, the main thing they are talking about. And I tell you, that was one day that I really got great encouragement. And then I had a great difficulty in understanding the past tense. I could express the present tense. I could express the future tense. But the past tense have different varieties in French. And I was like, how do I use what at what time? And what night? It was holding me back. One night I took time in the evening and just prayed and prayed and prayed. And I asked the Lord to help me. Then I went back to my textbooks. And as I began to study, and it was like, wow. I mean, this is it. Why have I not been getting this? Why didn't I understand that? That day, really, I feel that I significantly moved forward in French. Significantly moved forward. I began to, in fact, once I could differentiate between the past tense and the present tense, oh my God, I did not only feel encouraged, but I actually made progress. And people began to understand when I was speaking, I was making more sense, And then also we had to keep talking, and we had abundance of people to talk with everywhere. That was really exciting. That was really, really exciting. And I continued, I put on the pressure, kept putting on the pressure, kept learning, And then another thing I'm going to say also that really helped was that early, as we arrived immediately, I bought a French Bible and I began to try to read it. Didn't take me long. I think about 4 weeks. I could read. Of course, not with 100% accuracy, but I could read 70% of it. I still had my problem with accent from an English country, but yet it was really interesting. I could read, and when I read, people will be, on comprend, je comprends. I understand, I get it, I get what you're saying, So that was really a big boost. If you can read the language, I think every time you're trying to learn a language, try and learn how to read, probably first, or along with the elementary things, just get to read it. I could read, and then we drive out around town, we go out anywhere, or walking down the street. I began to notice all the billboards, the signboards, the banners, and whatever it is, all the writings, the directions in the street, in the city, and it was interesting. I began to understand, okay, if I see this, I can read it, and then I began to differentiate the French and borrowed English words. Lots of English words are borrowed into French and vice versa, of course. In English, there are lots of words that are borrowed from French, like fiancé, which is someone you are engaged to, somebody you might probably marry. It's a French word, like rendezvous. We didn't know how to say it in English countries, but I got to understand that was what it meant by an appointment. And then I began to learn false words. There are some false comparisons. For example, when you say habit in French, which is spelled habit, H-A-B-I-T, habit. In English, it means a pattern of conduct that you have repeatedly learned, you have adopted. Sometimes it's a bad habit or a good one, However, in French, when you see that word, the H is silent, so it's habit. The H is silent, the T is, the first letter H is silent, the T, the last letter T is silent, so it's habit. And when we first saw it, and I said, no, this habit, that. No, they said, no, that's not what it means. It actually means dress, clothing, habit, mon habit, my clothes. Wow. And I was like, are you kidding me? Sounds so alike, but has different meaning, And so you learn through all these things. And then you learn to make mistakes. You learn to make lots of mistakes, tons of mistakes, you make mistakes. But then you catch up yourself. You make mistakes and learn. In fact, making mistakes is one of the biggest encouragement you can have, if you understand what it means. Because you can't succeed if you don't fail. You have to first fail in order to succeed. You have to have these little obstacles where you fail, you make mistakes, and they really spur you on. They spur you on, And so made so many mistakes, wrong pronunciations, wrong interpretations, especially pronunciation. It was really hard to get the French pronunciations, letters like R, which is R in English. So they say R, and the R, and we couldn't understand. And then the national pronunciation, like ment, il ment, he's lying, il ment in French, and which is meant. in English. That is meant to heal after he broken something. You know, and we didn't, I know, it was really strange, you know. Then we learned that there is this orientation, it's in English orientation that we have, that this is the way a language should be. And when you come with that mentality, it becomes difficult to learn French. So you begin to feel that French was strange. But we had to learn that, hey, well, that is the English orientation from where we come. But here, it's not like that. So we learned to get ourselves into orientated with, you know, a French society. And that really, really helped us. So we met this young man in a church who used to come to interpret in that church, and we got involved and engaged and talking to him. And he interpreted for us so many times when I preached or taught. He interpreted for me and interpreted for my colleagues. So we got in touch, and he loved us, really loved us. We just came from Nigeria, and he loved us. He got close to us. We got to talk. Sometimes he would even visit us home. And then he told us, he said, my sister was a translator in the U.S. Embassy. We said, wow, are you kidding me? Oh, yeah, wow. And then he said, no. She had these lots of materials. He brought this textbook that was used by the U.S. Foreign Service. And we had that book for 2 weeks, and I cannot tell you how much that book blessed us. That book really, really blessed us. The American Foreign Service has really simplified, made it easy for anybody to learn French, to catch it, to get it, you know, without stress. Conversations in different settings, on an office setting, in the market, and traveling, and this and that. And they really, really broke it down. And although we just lived for 2 weeks, we had it for 2 weeks, but it was a major boost on us. We really made great progress. Great progress. And I will be right back. I'll be right back after that. Dreams are potential seeds. They need someone to believe in them. They need someone to finance them. And they need someone to embrace them. Partner today with the World Mission Center, Abidjan, the Ivory Coast, and help us win Africa for Christ.
Hi, I'm Pastor Greg, host of the Chosen Generation radio show, heard on the Truth Broadcasting Network and seen on TECNTV.com Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern, where I discuss today's most important issues through a biblical constitutional lens. TECNTV.com appreciates our partnership with NTD, and we'd love for you to give our great programming a view. That's TECNTV.com, Chosen Generation Radio with Pastor Greg. God bless you, and God bless America.
Welcome back to the show tonight. It's incredible, that we are talking about the effort that you make to educate yourself. If I was waiting for someone to teach me French, I would probably never learn. Later when I got to speak French very well and preach very well, I was preaching in an event in church. A brother in church who used to be a Muslim got married, had a child, and he invited his friends to celebrate in church. And I was preaching that day. Don't give an example with Nigeria. I was preaching in French, and it was interpreted in English because of the English guests that we have, And so when I was giving gave an example with something that happened in Nigeria, one of the guests turned to the host of the event and said, "This pastor, has he been to Nigeria before?" And the guy said to him, "No, he's a Nigerian." And the guy said, "No, I don't believe you." So immediately after the service, he walked. Middle-aged man in probably, he was probably 52 or thereabout. And he walked up to me and he saw me and said, "Hey, pastor," he spoke to me in French. "Have you been to Nigeria before?" He spoke to me in French. I told him, I said, "I'm a Nigerian." The man said, I don't believe it. He said, how long have you been here? I said, well, I've been here for 2 years. His eyes got really big. You've been here for 2 years? And you can preach in French, speak the French, I don't know. He said, I've been here for over 10 years. And I don't speak nearly as a quarter of what you speak. I said, well, I smiled and said, well, you may be beating yourself hard. You probably do better than that. You don't know. He said, no, I know what I'm talking about. And I said, well, you see, it depends on what your area of focus is. If you're a businessman, all you learn is the business French, and it's not as good as, talking, preaching, teaching, or talking. So if you were in my field, I told him, I said, you would have been speaking probably far better than I do, But that's to say that putting an effort to teach yourself can actually get you ahead. Today, when I travel and I speak French, and it's so incredible, people are so blessed. People are so blessed when I speak French. Well, I didn't always speak French. I had to learn it, and I learned it as an adult, but it turned out quite well for me, So I please would like to hear from you if you enjoy this show. We really noticed that our viewership is increasing, and praise God. Thank you very much, all of you who tune in. Please, we want to hear your opinion, your comments. We want to know what you think about what we do. Do you think there's something we could improve on? Or do you disagree with something? Or you enjoyed something? We'd really love to hear from you. We've heard from some of our viewers, but we want to hear more from you. It gives us a better sense of what we're doing, where we are failing, and how we can improve. Please be kind. Take that time. Just drop us an email. The email is scrolling down the bottom banner of your screen. It's gpac2018@gmail.com. We will love to read from you. Thank you so very much. And God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. All right, so we're going to watch a PragerU video, beautiful video. I tell you, you will enjoy this video. It's in light of what we are talking about whether it's important to go to school, to learn from school, or we can actually make do in life without really having to depend on college. I will be right back after this.
Maybe the dumbest thing you can do is go to the place that's supposed to make you smart. That would be college. Now, perhaps I'm biased. I don't have a college degree, although I employ a lot of people who do, and from some of the most prestigious universities in the country. I made a conscious choice. I had clear career ambitions, and I didn't see how a college degree was going to get me there. In retrospect, I'm confident I made the right decision. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of a company called The Daily Wire. We publish news and commentary from a conservative point of view. We have well over 100 employees and an audience which numbers in the millions every single day. Now, I don't have a problem if you go to college. It's a free country, do what you want. But the idea that somehow college is the great pathway to success and fulfillment, that I don't buy. The left takes a different view. They are obsessed with higher education. To them, it's a human right, and they want it to be free, which just means paid for by people like me, for anyone who's 18 and can breathe. That makes perfect sense from their point of view. One, the idea is a big winner among young people, a critical voting bloc. Who doesn't want something for nothing? Especially something that costs more than a Ferrari. And two, colleges exist to do one thing, create conformity of thought. And since college professors and administrators overwhelmingly lean left, it's a pretty good bet most of their students will as well. But I'm being unfair, you say. After all, we live in a knowledge-based world, and America isn't making the grade. Don't you know we rank 13th in the world in reading, 18th in science literacy, and a pitiful 37th in math? To which I say, so what? It wasn't Singapore that split the atom, or Estonia that mapped the human genome. America is #1 in Nobel Prizes awarded, #1 in scientific citations issued, #1 in popular entertainment, and #1 in technological advancement. In short, America creates almost everything. Even what other countries manufacture was probably invented by an American, which is why we're also the #1 economy in the world by far. And who made this possible? Well, Here are the names of just a few of the individuals who pretty much invented the modern world: Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell, and Larry Ellison. None of them has a college degree. Many of the CEOs who run the companies they created do have college degrees, but the founders do not. What they do have are things colleges can't teach you: curiosity, ambition, and a willingness to fail. Those qualities almost guarantee success. A college diploma doesn't. Want to build an airplane? Engineers educated in aerodynamics are handy to have on your team. Want to invent the airplane? Well, you're better off finding a couple of restless bicycle repairmen. That's what the Wright brothers were. It's not that colleges aren't teaching. It's that too often they're teaching the wrong things, or they're teaching the right things the wrong way. Tech entrepreneur David Gelernter says, "The thing I don't look for in a developer is a degree in computer science." Quite a statement from a man who teaches computer science at Yale. Tech billionaire and co-founder of PayPal, Peter Thiel, actually pays people not to go to college. Thiel and Gelernter understand that colleges are factories, and like all factories, they want to produce a consistent product. That means producing people who all think alike. But innovation and entrepreneurship require people who think differently. Innovators innovate. Colleges teach those innovations after the fact. If professors could have taught engineers how to build the airplane in 1903, professors would have built the airplane before 1903. They would have invented the personal computer, Microsoft, and social media too. And it's not only big tech where this applies. 56% of all small business owners in the United States don't have a 4-year degree. That's right, the majority of small business owners, who employ more than half of American workers, either never went to or never finished college. What all of this says to me is that while college is useful for some people, it's by no means necessary for all. And it's hardly essential for economic success, not for the individual and not for the nation. No one is being deprived of the opportunity to succeed simply because they can't afford a university's steep price tag. In fact, if you go to college, there's a good chance you'll be taught how not to succeed. If I were you, I'd think long and hard before paying for that. I'm Jeremy Boring for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true. But it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.
Thank you so very much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.